Hello class, and welcome to this tutorial for how to model the three-piece puzzle in SketchUp. So you've already modeled it on paper, making a draft, and now here we're looking at the assignment for the SketchUp 3D model of the three-piece puzzle. You're going to click on the video link here, you already have because that's the video you're watching, and you're watching it in a YouTube window like this. What I want you to do is right-click on the video, and you're gonna see this black menu that pops up. Don't click anything in there, but go to a different location inside the same video screen and right click again. Then you're gonna see this white menu. Go down to where it says Picture in Picture. When you click on that, the picture for the video, just the picture, is gonna pop out in its own little floating window that you can resize and drag around. Play and pause the video like that, and you can, what this is going to allow you to do is go to a different tab and watch the instructional video while you're actually following along. So go over here to Rapid Identity and click on SketchUp. It's near Schoology, near the bottom, right there, SketchUp, that little pink one. So when you open up SketchUp, it's going to open it up in a browser tab. It'll have you sign in. You'll need to click, continue or whatever you need to click on to sign in with your Humble ISD credentials. If you're having trouble logging in, sometimes in the top over in this area there is a little icon with a tiny red dot on it. That is the pop-up blocker. So I can't show it to you, but if you're having trouble logging in, click on that little icon that appears in the URL bar and then tell it to always allow, and then you'll be able to log in. So we're going to go ahead and log in here, and it takes a moment to load, and you're going to have my video that you're watching right here kind of in the corner. You can resize it to whatever size is convenient for you. You can play and you can pause that video from here. If you needed to rewind, which please do rewind and go back and see the instructions I'm about to tell you, you will have to go back to the original tab for this video in YouTube, and then you can rewind like you normally would. I'm going to go ahead and close that because I don't need that. And you're going to, in SketchUp, first thing you're going to do is click on Create New. Now, actually, let me just go back there because you may need to click this drop-down menu and create new feet and inches. Make sure we are in feet and inches. And when you're there, you're going to create a new document, and we are going to get to it. So let's not do that. Let's do like this. There we go. All right. So you see the model of this man over here, right? This guy is probably like, a 5'10", 6-foot man. And so what we're going to do is model our three-piece puzzle in real life dimensions. So this man is pretty big, right? And the three-piece puzzle would fit into his hand. So you're going to see, we're going to zoom in a minute, we won't be able to see him. So I'm going to be teaching you some controls as we go along here. And let me make sure that this isn't going to get in the way. Okay, so with your mouse, you zoom in and out with the scroll wheel. So let's practice that for a second. The scroll wheel of your mouse, you can, wherever you hover your mouse, wherever you put that pointer, and then you zoom in with the scroll wheel, it's going to zoom you in. Now, the mouse on a desktop, by the way, some of you might be doing this on a Chromebook. So if you're on a Chromebook, you need to come down here and click on trackpad. If you're on a desktop with a mouse, you need to click on mouse right down here. Okay, so if you're using the mouse, you can zoom in and out, and then that scroll wheel on your mouse is also a button. So if you click in and hold on that button, then you can do this, which is called orbiting. And if you continue to hold down on that wheel and then press shift on your computer and hold down shift, now you can pan left and right and up and down like that. So this is how you're going to move around. If you're on a Chromebook, again, click on trackpad here, and your motions are a little bit different. You'll use 2 fingers on the trackpad to zoom in and out. And so now, actually, sorry, that's not true. I'm on my laptop as well. So if you use 2 fingers on the trackpad, you will orbit, is what's happening here. This is an orbit, and I just have 2 fingers on my trackpad. If you hold down Control and then use 2 fingers on the trackpad, you'll zoom in and out. And if you hold down Shift instead of Control, then you can pan up and down and left and right. Here's up and down, and there's left and right. So that's how you use, and you can do diagonally as well. That's how you use the trackpad on the Chromebooks. So I'm actually using a mouse here, so I'm going to switch back over to mouse. Now, everything else should pretty much be the same if you're on a trackpad. We're going to go ahead and start our model. This really doesn't take that long once you understand how the controls work. We are going to kind of zoom in on this area. It's called the origin. Just like when we're drafting, we have a guideline that goes up and down, a guideline that goes left and right. But we also, in SketchUp, we're going to have a guideline that goes up like this. So this is where we're going to start our draft, right there where those three lines intersect. So over here on the left, you'll see a toolbar. We're going to start our draft by selecting the rectangle tool. You can also press R on your keyboard. Do you see the R in parentheses over here? That means that's a keyboard shortcut to select that tool. So that will help you go quicker. I always encourage everyone to use the keyboard shortcuts. So I'm going to press R, and then we're going to click on the origin one time. You need to click and release. If you heard that click on my mouse, I clicked and release. I am not holding down the button of my mouse or the trackpad. So you click and release. Then the next thing is you move in the direction you want to go. So in this case, we're going to move up and to the right, which is between the green and the red lines, and I have a really big rectangle. Now, if you notice in the lower left hand, or rather the lower right hand corner of the screen, right down here where it says dimensions, those dimensions move, they change as I move my rectangle around. So let me just be still with that for a second, and let's look at that. It says 5 1/8, comma, 1 foot, 1 inch, and 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so that is telling me exactly what my rectangle is, but I can start typing now, and it will replace those numbers. So we need to type in the the big number first. No, sorry, the small number first, which is this case is going to be 1.5. So you can type this with me, 1.5, then you need to put a comma, and then you need to type 4. Now those are inches, because remember we started in feet and inches. So it's going to default to inches, and it's telling me 1.5 inches by 4 inches. The comma is the separating the two dimensions. When you press enter now, it will go ahead and put in the rectangle that is that appropriate size. And then you can see it's a lot smaller than we were before. So we zoom in with our scroll wheel or with our fingers on the trackpad, holding down control to zoom in, and then we're going to see our rectangle. Now I want to just point out, if you were to start making a rectangle, and sometimes this is something that happens to students, especially on the computers, if you start typing in some dimensions, so I'm going to type in 1.5 comma 4, you see it's down there in the dimensions field in the lower right, and it's ready to go. So if I press enter now, it would make the rectangle that I want. But if I accidentally bump the mouse, like I just am doing here, I bump the mouse and my rectangle changes size. Now the dimensions I typed in are no longer present in that field. So be careful of that. You can't bump the mouse whenever you are trying to type in those dimensions. So that's why it's important to click and release the button, move in the correct direction, then type in your dimensions and press enter. Okay, so now we have a rectangle, but if you see here, this rectangle has like no thickness to it at all. So we need to give it some thickness. We're going to use the next tool on our tool bar over there called the push-pull tool. You can press P on the keyboard, or you can select it over there on the toolbar on the left. And now, as I hover my pointer over this rectangle, you see it gets like all these little dots on it, kind of gets highlighted like that. We're going to click one time. You're going to move in the correct direction. In this case, it's up. And now you see we're moving up on the blue axis over here. And we're just going to move up a little ways, take our hand off the mouse or off the trackpad, and you're going to type 1/2 inch, or you can type 0.5. So there's two ways to do it. If you look at the distance menu down there in the bottom right, I'm going to type in 0.5. So that's one way to do it. I could press enter, but let me back it up and also show you the other way. You can type 1/2. Those are both acceptable ways of putting in the measurement that you're looking for. So I'll press enter there, and you see it snaps it down to the dimension I asked it to go to, which is 1/2. All right. Now we have our block of wood. We're going to put that hole in the middle. This is going to be piece number 1. That's why I'm kind of giving us some room over here. I put piece number 1 on the left. We'll do piece 2 here and piece 3 right here, and we'll be done. So I need to find the tape measure tool. So on the toolbar here, you see these two arrows that go down like this. You can click on those and you can scroll down and see other tools. This is a tape measure tool. You can also press T on your keyboard for the tape measure tool. So select that, and now you notice there's like a little blue diamond, or if I come to the edge here, you'll see like in this case, a red square. What we're looking for is going to an edge, put that on the edge, and then when you see a red square, or if you're in the middle, this turquoise colored blue circle, you could also just click on the edge now, and then you're going to move your pointer this way, so toward the center of the block. We're looking for 1/2 inch. So if you see 1/2 inch, there's a couple ways to do it. If you see 1/2 inch, like right there, you could click and then there's your dotted line. Or I'll do it a different way on this side. You can come in and then type again on your keyboard 1/2 inch. You see it shows up in the lower right hand field, and then press enter and it will snap you to 1/2 inch. So let's do that from the left and from the right. And if you recall from the paper draft, we're going to bring a guideline down from the top edge. We bring that down 1 1/4 inches. So I'm going to type in 1.25 because that's the easiest way for me to do it. And then press enter. We can do the same from the bottom, coming up this direction, 1.25. Now these dotted lines are the same thing as guidelines. Whenever we were doing our paper draft, they're basically guidelines. They're not real lines yet. So we need to make our permanent lines. To do that, we'll go back to our rectangle tool. So select your rectangle tool, that's R on the keyboard. And then we're looking for this intersection. See there's an X right here, an intersection where these two guidelines come together. There's 4 of them. We're going to select one of those. So click on one, and then you're going to come down to the opposite one. So opposite corner means it's not touch. This would be an adjacent corner. This is an adjacent corner. This is the opposite corner. So we're going to click on this. When you see that X, you got to make sure you see the X. Then click on it. And now you see the dotted, what were dotted lines before have turned solid. So these are permanent lines now. Okay. So now we can do something pretty cool. If you select your push-pull tool, which is P on your keyboard, and then, you see how I orbit around every once in a while? I orbit around to change my angle just to get a real clear view of what I'm looking at. Feel free to do that. I'm going to select this area in the middle. Be careful which area you select. Don't want to select this area. You want to select the rectangle that we just outlined. So you're going to click that one time. Then you're going to move in the correct direction. In this case, we're going to move down. Now, it can be a little bit confusing. You see how that rectangle kind of jumps around as I'm moving my mouse? Don't get confused. Just put your pointer on the edge. So it looks like this. If you put we're looking for that red box, that red square right there. And you'll see the words on edge. So I'm actually pointing to this bottom edge where we started right here. Sorry, it's jumping around a little bit. I know it's confusing. So you just gotta find that bottom edge and then click your mouse again. All right, let me do that one more time. I'm going to undo it. There's another way to do it. If you click on the square, now I've got that rectangle. I can move it up and down. We're going to go down with it. And even if you move down here, it doesn't matter. As long as you moved in the correct direction, then you can type in 1/2 inch. You can just type in 1/2, or you could type in 0.5 and then press enter. That's going to accomplish the same thing. And what it's doing is it's telling you that top surface needs to be reduced the full amount that you raised it up earlier. In other words, you're deleting that and you're making a hole. So that's a couple different ways to make a hole. Okay? Now, good news is we don't have to make that particular hole again because we're going to copy it. All right, so go ahead and orbit and pan and rotate your stuff around so that it looks pretty much like this. You got piece 1 over here, and then we're going to put piece 2 here and piece 3 there. We need a couple things first. You see the glasses over here on the right. It says display. Click on that, and then you'll see this large rectangle that says delete all guides. We're going to delete all the guides, and you'll see all the dotted lines disappear. We can close the panel to get it out of the way, and then we need to use our select tool. The select tool is the very top one. It looks like the pointer, a normal computer pointer, or what I like to do most of the time is just press the space bar. So the space bar gives me my select tool, And now when I click on this block here, it selects everything in that top surface. If I double click, it selects everything that's attached to that surface, which are these blue edges. But what we need to do is triple click, so listen to this. Triple click right there, okay? So 3 clicks in rapid succession, and it's going to select everything that is attached to that component that you clicked on in the 3-dimensional surface. Then, once everything is selected like this, you will right click. And this right click menu comes up, and about halfway down you'll see this one that says Make Component. This is extremely important. If you forget to make your stuff a component, then you're going to have to just do it again, because making things a component allows us to really work with this in SketchUp. So make this whole thing a component. You get a little menu that pops up. You can do different things. We're not going to worry about any of that. Just press OK. Okay? Now, you see I'm using my select tool. If I select this, everything gets selected now, and I don't have that little gray box thing anymore, or that gray like highlighting. So if I click in a green area, I deselect it. If I click on this is now called a component. Everything here is now a single piece in SketchUp's mind. All right, so what we can do now that it's a component is copy it. So there's a couple ways to copy it, but I'm going to show you my favorite way. You're going to use the Move tool. So that's M on the keyboard, or it's these 4 arrows that go in different directions over there. And then I want you to notice down here the text that appears. This is giving you some instructions. It's telling you what you can do. Click to begin moving the pre-selected items, or if you press Control on your keyboard, that equals copy mode. Okay, so what we're going to do is press Control 1 time on our keyboard, and you'll notice there's a little plus that appears next to our tool. So we have our 4 arrows right here, but now a plus symbol has appeared. That means we're going to make a copy. So here's what you're going to do. Get into copy mode again. You're going to press M, then you're going to press Control to get into this state, and then you can click on a corner. Doesn't really matter what you click on, but I think it's easiest to click on a corner, and then when you move, you can move that right along the red line. Just come bring it to the middle of your page and then click again. This is not a click and drag. Almost nothing in SketchUp is a click and drag, okay? It's always going to be a click, release, move, and then click again. So let's do that one more time. Now you see copy mode has already gone off because I don't have that plus symbol next to my arrows. So I'm going to press Control again. Again, I'm not holding Control down. I just click it one time and it toggles into the copy mode. And then we'll do the same thing. We're going to click on that corner of this one and then move it over. Click again. Now we have 3 of them. Okay. Go back to your Select tool. And then these 3 different components are copies of each other. So that means if you change one, the same change would happen to the others, which is really useful sometimes, but for us it's not useful. So we need to do this step. We need to, with our Select tool, right-click on the second piece and then say Make Unique, which is about halfway down right here, Make Unique. We've made this one unique, and now we need to go ahead and make the 3rd one unique. So if I click on the first one, you see now Make Unique is grayed out because they're all unique from each other. These are not tied together anymore. So now when I make a change to this one, it won't change the other 2, and that's exactly what we want. So if any of this was too fast, make sure you pause the video, rewind to the area that you need, and make sure that if you're at this point in the video that you have 3 pieces, that they are components, and that they are all unique, just like this. So double check that. Otherwise, you're going to be really sad because what I'm about to tell you won't work for you. So rewind if you need to. Okay, if you're here and you're good and you're with me, what we're going to do is use our Select tool and double click on the second piece, the middle one. Now we are in edit mode. You see the gray box around this piece, and the other 2 pieces are kind of like green grayed out. You can't really see them very well. They're there, but they're not the ones that we have selected. So now we're just focusing on this piece, and we are in edit mode. That means we're editing the component. So you have to be in edit mode in order to do what I'm about to show you. If you're not in edit mode, again, you use the Select tool and you double click on that component to get into edit mode. If you want to get out of edit mode, you just click in the green space. or the blue space if you can see the sky. All right, so we need to double click this component, and then you don't have to do all this orbiting around. I'm just trying to show you what's going on. Then we're going to get our tape measure tool. So press T on the keyboard to get your tape measure tool. And again, we're looking for this red square on an edge. In this case, we're looking for the top edge. And if you click on that one time, then move in the correct direction, which would be toward the center, then we will type in our dimension. So if you remember from the draft, that is 1 and 13/16. So you need to type 1, then a space bar, and then 13/16, just like it appears in the lower right-hand corner right now. Then press enter, and that's going to give you the dotted line you need. So the next step would be to click on this dotted line, move down in this direction, and type in 3/8, 3/8, and press enter. You could also click down here and go up 1 and 13/16, that would work too. Okay, now you see we have these two dotted lines. And I'm going to zoom in on this area. I'm going to orbit around like this, and you should orbit around like this too for the step that's coming up. And we're going to go ahead and grab our rectangle tool, press R on the keyboard or click over there, and you see we have an intersection here, we have an intersection here, intersection here, here. So we're going to click on two of those. So I'm going to click on this one, come across to the opposite intersection. Wait till you make sure you move your mouse till you see the red X there and it says intersection. Click a second time. Okay. Then you can use your push-pull tool, which is this one, or you can press P on the keyboard, and then you're going to select just this rectangle. So make sure that you are seeing a rectangle like this. If you're not, then you probably did something wrong and we need to undo some steps and try again. So I'm going to click on this one time, move down. I'll move down 1/2 inch. So there's a couple options for you. You can move down, you can type in 1/2 inch, or you can come to this bottom line where you see a red square and it says on edge, or you could even see this blue diamond where it says on face. Either way, go ahead and enter that information, and then you'll see that we are left with a rectangle at the base. That is unfortunate. We don't want that, so we need to erase it. Over here is our eraser tool, or you can press E on the keyboard. So once you've got that selected, this is one time where we will actually click and drag. So we're going to drag, we're going to click, we're going to start in this green area, we're going to hold down the button and drag all the way across those three things. Somehow I just jumped out of edit mode. I don't know what happened there. So back to our eraser, we're going to click and drag all the way across. And that's going to get rid of the plane and the two lines that was left in there. So we also have these dotted lines. You can erase the dotted lines by clicking and dragging across them as well. Or you could go back over here to our display option and delete the guides. Now we're still in edit mode. To get out of edit mode, we'll press the space bar, or you could also select the select tool over here in the menu, and we're going to click out of edit mode for piece 2. Piece 2 is done, piece 1 is done. Now we're going to double click on piece 3 and we're going to finish piece 3. So we'll use our tape measure tool. We come down this direction 1 3/4, so 1 space 3/4. And we have this line. I like to go to this line and come down 1/2 inch. So you see right now I've actually selected 1/2 inch. I could just click there, or I can type in 1/2, or I can type in 0.5. And now we have those two dotted lines. Let's make one more guideline before we go to our rectangle tool. And that's going to be from this edge on the inside rectangle that we already popped out. We're going to click on that edge and we're going to go that direction to the right. 1/8, you can type in 1/8, or you can go over until you see it tells you that you're 1/8 away. And then go ahead and select your rectangle tool, which is R on the keyboard. Here again, you're looking for intersections, so that's an intersection and that intersection, so that we made a rectangle there that we can push down in a second. Over here, let's make this rectangle right here, right here. And now we've got these two rectangles. I'm going to orbit around this way so we can see what we're doing a little bit better. You can orbit too. It helps. It's not just for visual, it also helps give SketchUp the inputs that you want a little bit better. Now select your push-pull tool. This rectangle, we'll click on it, the smaller one, and we can push it down to the bottom line there where you see on edge or on face or the midpoint, or again, type in 1/2. Different ways to do it. And then click your button again or press enter, and that is going to delete the rectangle all the way. This one, however, when we get to the bottom, we'll still have to erase. So grab your eraser tool, and again, starting in the green area, click down, drag across all 3 of those little pieces, and then unclick or release the button, and it will disappear. We have guidelines left over, so let's get our select tool, click in the green area, and actually I think I'm making a mistake here by telling you this. Oh no, it worked. Okay, so we can still delete all our guides from there. Sometimes it won't delete the guides if you are editing a component. So we delete all the guides, and voila, we have our 3-piece puzzle. Now there's one more thing we need to do before we can turn this in, and that is label the dimensions. So just like in the draft, all these certain dimensions were labeled, we're going to label those now. So if you find the dimension tool in your toolbar, if you can't find the dimension tool in your toolbar, you need to click on this ellipse, the 3 dots right there, and then it will be in this menu somewhere, because you can actually rearrange your toolbar. You can click and drag these tools into the toolbar, and I already have mine in the toolbar. It looks like this. It has a little 3, some lines, some red dots, and it says dimensions when you hover over it. So find that tool, select it, and this is how it works. You have to make 3 clicks in order to label your dimension. So you'll give it a start point, you'll give it an end point, and then you can move. You see the label is there, 1 1/2 inches. You'll move until you like where that label is, and then you'll give it a 3rd click, and that will label the dimension in that place. So I'm going to label some dimensions. You need to label the same dimensions. Let me show you this. You can click on this corner, you can click on this corner, and then if you move it around a little bit, you get the vertical distance you're looking for. If you moved it over here, you see you get the horizontal distance, but we want the vertical distance. If I can find it again. Sometimes it gets all funny on you. There you go. 1 1/4. You have to work with SketchUp a little bit. 1 1/4. Let's also label the overall height of this rectangle right there. Okay. Let's label from here to here is 1 13/16. This one is 3/8, that opening. We're just going to label what is unique because we know that there's a lot of repeatability here. This opening is 1/2 inch. From here to here is 1 3/4. And this little notch opening is 1/8 inch right there. That one's the hardest one to see. So if you would please add all these dimensions. You don't need to label absolutely everything, but you do need to label at least these. Then you're good. So if your computer-aided drafting, your 3D model looks just like this, you can save it and turn it in. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So hit the Save button in the top menu there, and then let me show you that. If you didn't see it, I'll show you one more time. It's right here, Save. You see this menu across the top? We're going to click where it says Save. You could also click Untitled if you haven't saved it yet, but let's click Save, and then we're going to save it in My Drive. In My Drive, not in a shared drive or a common drive. You click My Drive, and this is going to be your Google Drive. I suggest you go ahead and make a new folder. You can title that Mr. Broadway's class or engineering or whatever you want to title it. Let's call it Intro to Engineering. And then you can create that folder, and then inside of this folder you will label sorry, what's going on here? Okay, we will label this 3PP, which is 3-piece puzzle, and you can save that there. There we go. So it tells you it's saving, and then it tells you it is saved. If you make a change, you can hit that save button again. Then you're going to come over to the Schoology assignment that is called SketchUp 3D Model, where we started. And over here, you're going to see an option to create a submission. And you can click Submission, then go to File, Upload. And, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I've skipped a whole big step. We have to, sorry, rewind. We have to make a PDF, or a PNG rather. So you're going to click up here on the menu, go down to Download PNG. So we're back in SketchUp, click on the menu, go down to Download PNG. Right here. Download PNG. And then this is what you're going to submit. This is a picture file. Okay, so we're going to export this as a PNG. Make sure it does look like this too. Make sure that you're not zoomed way far out where I can't see it. Zoom in so I can see it nicely. You can orbit around in this menu right here. So make sure I can see all three pieces. I can see all your labels. Then export as a PNG. And that's basically taking a picture. That picture is downloaded to your downloads folder. And this file in your downloads folder on the computer is going to be what you submit. So you're going to click on somewhere in this area, there's a button for submissions, and then a little dialog box opens up. You'll see a rectangle or a square that has like a picture of a file. You click on that, navigate to your downloads folder, select the file that you took the picture of, the PNG, which is in your downloads folder right here, 3pp.png. And if you're on a desktop, it'll look like this, sort of, in your downloads folder, and it'll be right here in your downloads folder. And that's